we may have just witnessed one of the greatest, if not the greatest season of disc golf in the history of FPO. This was a sentiment that I heard quite often concerning Kristin Tattar's season last year. Here we are in 2023, and what Kristin's done has made last year's season, a historic year, look like some sort of warm-up. As the disc golf world already knows, with her win at the 2023 United States Women's Disc Golf Championship, Kristin Tattar has completed the coveted major Grand Slam, and she's done it self-contained in one season. This year, we have had front row seats, VIP passes to history in the making. My name is Mason, and welcome to another episode of The Wind Read. Today, I want to try to contextualize this. I want to talk about just how ridiculous Kristin's 2023 season has been and what it truly means for the past and the future of the division. Let's dive into it. I don't want to spend a ton of time trying to hyper-analyze what season was actually the best in FPO's history. Any sports fan knows that these discussions are usually not the most fruitful, and making meaningful comparisons is very difficult. We want to celebrate what we're witnessing in the present while respecting the history of our beautiful sport. For example, if you go all the way back to the year 2001, there was an FPO season that was almost incomparable. At the time, there were no Elite Series events or even a national tour yet. In 2001, the legend Juliana Korver played in 22 A-tiers or majors and won 20 of them. The other two being a second place finish at D-Glow and a 50th place finish at USDGC. This made her the only female player to ever cash at that event. So, if we're going purely by win rate, maybe this was the best FPO season of all time, but we're comparing apples to oranges. Even going back just 6 years ago, there was another landmark season where Paige Pierce won a ridiculous 13 events, including 3 majors. This was a legacy-defining season for Paige, but still, comparisons are difficult. The game is very different now, and the talent pool has grown exponentially. Events are more competitive than ever, and Kristin doing what she's doing in this climate is absurd. So, what do you think? Is this the best season FPO has ever seen? Let me know what you think in the comments. Like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on comparisons. Let's look at what Kristin actually accomplished this year and what the numbers have to say. Let's start with how much she's actually been winning. In Elite Series and major events, Tattar is currently sitting on a nearly 62% win rate, taking down 8 titles in just 13 starts. And that's not even counting her win at the European Championship or her 2 Silver Series titles that she won this year. 62% is a ridiculous number and the highest win rate we've seen in FPO in this post-COVID era. When you look beyond her win rate though, there are some things that are interesting that stick out. Her podium percentage is actually down this year to a measly 77%, a slight downgrade from her 100% podium rate last year. It's definitely interesting how Tattar's 2022 season has all of the signs of unreal consistency, but this year, 2023 contained what matters most, the biggest wins possible. This of course leads us to Kristin's major Grand Slam, all done in one season. Because not only is Tattar playing otherworldly disc golf, she's doing it when she needs to most. On the biggest stages, in front of the biggest galleries, when the field is at its toughest and most focused, and the pressure is more prevailing than ever. For some of us that play amateur tournaments a few times a year, we can try to relate. For us, there's always a big one that comes to mind, the important tournament. Maybe an A-tier or something where all the local talent comes out and it might even attract a pro or two and we want to play our best. We can't sleep the night before and the morning of the tournament we're so full of nervous excitement and optimism and usually leave the course feeling a little bit less so. For disc golf's best, the big ones are obviously the majors. They feel the same emotions and nervousness that we do, but they're doing it in front of thousands and in front of cameras and in front of their friends and families. While some are crushed beneath this pressure, our game's best rise to meet it, and Kristin did this on a scale that is rarely seen in all of sports. She won all 4 of these pressure cookers, and she did it in style. What I'm about to lay out is one of the most telling statistics of anything you'll see in this video. Kristin Tattar won 2023's 4 majors by a combined 39 strokes. That is ridiculous. For context, if you do this for all of the majors won in FPO last year, they were won by a combined 14 strokes, 8 of those belonging to Kristin's win from Worlds last year. Tattar not only swept the majors, but she did so indisputably. This is historic, this is record-breaking, this is legendary. For those that stay connected to this wonderful game, you will hear mention of Tattar's 2023 season for decades to come. I think a lot of her success on the major stage this year is attributable not only, of course, to her disc golf skill set, but to her incredible mental fortitude. Listen to Kristin's interviews, and not only after wins, but after losses as well. I think disc golfers wanting to improve their mental game could learn a great deal from Kristin Tattar, myself included. She speaks about the game in a way that only propels her to succeed. We all know what Kristin can do physically, but this mental aspect of her game is definitely under-discussed, and I think it's one of the key components for her otherworldly success this year. And like I mentioned, she of course has all of the physical tools. What's always been interesting to me is that Kristin is not exactly dominant in any one category. Sure, she's leading the season in a lot of statistics, but when we think of the best putter in FPO, we usually think of Owen Scoggins, and if we think about the best throwers in FPO, we think of someone like Evelina Salonen maybe, but Kristin is simply great at everything. And not just statistically. She has a fantastic forehand that she uses regularly to great success, though it's not the furthest forehand in the division. She has a great backhand that she can throw on a variety of different angles, from pushing hyzers to these sweeping anhyzer turnovers, yet she doesn't have the furthest backhand in the division. Consistency and versatility are the 2 words that come to mind when I think of Tattar's skill set. Every top FPO player seems to have just 1 or 2 small aspects of their game that keep them from catching Kristin, while Tattar remains very, very well-rounded. And of course, the statistics speak for themselves. Kristin leads the division on the season in almost every single throwing statistic. This year at the majors, Kristin couldn't be beat. She's operating on a level that is synonymous with greatness. So, what does the future hold for Tattar? Is this level sustainable? Will the dominance continue? Will another name begin to chase her down? It's really hard to tell. Obviously, what Kristin's doing won't last forever, so do not blink. We are witnessing history. The question now is, what could potentially slow Kristin down? I think the main reason could be maybe an injury, or even a potential decline in focus after summiting the mountaintop of disc golf. That can happen. But if it doesn't, I don't see any reason why Kristin's going to slow down soon. That said, there are young and up-and-coming names in the division that should not be taken lightly. Some that are just 1 or 2 aspects of their game away from being just as good as Tattar. Whether they need to learn a forehand, iron out their putting, or add some distance, there's several talented disc golfers in the FPO division that are just on the cusp. And some of them, though they might put on a smile and not state it explicitly, some of them are hungry to catch Kristin. Keep a very close eye on the division over the offseason and who's working to really round out their game. The 2023 season in FPO has been the season of Kristin Tattar. She came into this game many years ago as a young Estonian with dreams of simply succeeding in her local region. Then once she scaled that mountain, she began to compete across Europe, and once she conquered that too, she sacrificed so much to take this leap of faith across the Atlantic and onto the Pro Tour, to the majors, and she's conquered every one of those too. Her story is remarkable. And while Kristin's success has been confined to the world of disc golf, I believe her to be one of the current great female athletes in all of sports. She's earned it, and is day by day securing her name as one of the greatest to ever throw a disc. Congratulations to Kristin Tattar, what an accomplishment. Thank you so much for joining me here on The Wind Read. Until the next one.